Hello, and welcome to Future Proof. I'm Joan Hamilton, the Chief Content Officer at Inxeption. In this podcast, Inxeption CEO Farzad Dabachi and I talk about issues and ideas that propel our mission at Inxeption, which is to help companies do business better. To us, that means using digital technology in every aspect of your business so that you are ready for both unexpected challenges and exciting opportunities that demand a clear, real-time picture of what's going on inside every critical aspect of your company, from marketing to logistics to cash flow. Only then will you be, as we like to say, future-proof. Our platform is designed to help companies optimize every facet of their business. Today's topic is one that sounds so simple, but as far as I will explain, it's often the source of delays and expensive mistakes. The simple act of placing an order. You and I always enjoy talking about, mistakes in the abstract. What mistakes do to people and how they ripple out into entire organizations. And one of the business processes we've talked about so many times is order entry. And the way that orders come into any given manufacturing company. And the assumption that many of us have, or at least that I have, that it's a much more orderly process than it really is. So you ran a lighting company. So let me just start by having you sort of talk about some of the issues I know you ran into with the way distributors send you their orders and what happens.
Yeah, so the classic distributor order is a phone call to their favorite salesperson within that industrial company. Hey, Joe, we want to put in another order for 24 of those lights. Which one of those lights? The lights we ordered last time. Well, but the lights you ordered last time, then you modified them. Yeah. Not the first ones, but as I modified them. Okay, so that's XYZ 44-15. Yeah, that's exactly right. But this time we don't want them gray. We want them brown. Okay, brown how? Oh, just a brown. I mean, I don't really care what, just a brown. So that conversation is had. The sales guy is hanging up. He's got his commission. Life is exciting. He's going to have to type some stuff in. And, brownish, brown, beiges, whatever he heard. Was it, dash XX48, dash XX49, all those things. Notwithstanding, the order goes in. So now you have this order on the manufacturing floor being built, but you really do not have a direct connection to the distributor that this is what I ordered, right? But it gets more interesting because many companies are smart enough to put a process in that says, okay, when you get an order, you have to check in with the buyer that this is the order, right? So you go through that process and the buyer looks at it and says, well, buyer says, yeah, that's fine, right? Next, that same distributor calls the same salesperson and says, hey, that order? After all, change it to black. We don't, it's okay. So what happens now, right? It is actually in the process of being built or it's in the process of being assembled or whatever it is. So the only way to keep track of this and to make it exact is to get the distributor to put in the actual order with the actual part numbers. So it is not atypical for an industrial company to take as much as 3, 4, 6 weeks to validate a PO. And if you're trying to, again, now do this online world this way, it does not work, right? Because speed is of the essence. So the only solution to this is not only to have this buyer specify the exact specific part number, but what we did in the lighting business to actually validate the building process for them. It is now being built. And this is now what is being built. If I don't hear from you today, this will be built this way, right? So the thing about order entry and digital order entry specifically is that for the first time, you can actually force the buyer and the maker to be at the table talking the same language, as opposed to some sort of a coffee table talk about what it is I want to buy. It is a specific talk about what I want to buy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think there was a statistic we read that was 53% of distributor orders are manual. And not just the phone call, but faxes that are like handwritten on blank pieces of paper and returned, the order left on the answering machine where you didn't even have a person and you just sort of think you heard it right, those kinds of things. I just find that amazing.
Going back to the business we were running, the manufacturing floor we were running, the one that I loved because we were a very young company. I want to say we were probably 6 months old. And we had this call from this guy in Colorado. And he put in an order for, I think it was $1.8 million worth of lights. And appreciate at the time the company was like $100,000 of revenue run rate. So to get a $1.8 million order was much rejoicement at work. And then we found out like 2 months later that wasn't a real PO. So it hadn't gotten all the approvals that they needed on their side. So you're talking about actual, livelihoods being dealt with here, dollars being transferred and at risk, right?
Did you hire to fill that order? I mean, that can happen too,
That
right?
could happen too, yeah. So you end up in a situation where you get very, very nervous with transactions that are not 100% clear.
Yeah.
And then you get nervous with transactions that are not normal, right? So is this exactly what you want me to build? Because I'm not going to go build this, because if I don't ship it to you, I'm not going to ship it to anybody. And we've had many in the manufacturing business. We had many a time where you have a situation where it's like, well, you signed the PO, and that's what I built, and now you're saying that's not what you ordered. No, because I called Johnny and I told him to change it, and Johnny didn't change it.
Yeah.
And in some cases, Johnny doesn't even work here anymore, right? So.
Well, I remember our very first customer here at Inxeption that used this, what we call that, our distributor easy order portal. The very first customer, 3 months after they started using it, said they had reduced their book to ship rate by 46%. And these were not, incompetent people, or they didn't give the appearance of being disorganized particularly or anything. And, our guy on the account said, they just trading phone calls can take 2 or 3 weeks and, delay the period of everybody getting paid. So once we came in, suddenly everybody gets paid faster, and it's quite dramatic, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it starts out with a digital transaction that both parties have seen and have approved. So there's no misunderstanding. Then it really goes through the transaction itself being fulfilled, and then money changing hands and shipping being done for the revenue to be recognized, right? And if all of that is digitally manageable or managed, then there's no mistakes at any level of that. Everybody knows exactly what they've gotten into and how they're going to get to where they want to go.
Thanks for listening. For more on future-proofing your company, visit us at inxeption.com.